We welcome you inside Williams Arena. College basketball is back, and this one finally counts. It's the regular season at the barn, and a whole lot of energy here as the Minnesota Gophers, ranked 15 in the country, take on USC Upstate from the Atlantic Sun Conference. Well, hi, everybody, and welcome. My name is Ryan Russell. I am with Jake Bringold, and Jessica Hart is our sideline reporter, too. Jake, last year this Gophers team qualified for the tournament. They're trying to block out the noise right now, though, because they've got very high expectations going into this year.
Yes, they do. They're entering the season ranked for the first time since the 2009 season when they were 25th. They had a 24-win season last year. They're returning all 5 of their starters, led by Nate Mason and Jordan Murphy. So they're definitely looking to capitalize and build off their season a year ago when they made it as a 5th seed to the tournament.
We've got Jessica Hart as our sideline reporter, as I said. Here's Jessica.
Hey Ryan, Gophers sophomore guard Amir Coffey has stepped up in a huge way since Eric Curry's season-ending injury. But that should come as no surprise once you take a look at Coffey's family tree. Both of Coffey's sisters play college basketball, and his sister Nia currently plays in the WNBA for the San Antonio Stars. His father, Richard Coffey, played basketball for the Gophers between 1986 and 1990, and then went on to play for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And this year, Coffey could be one of the best on the team and is developing a real potential to play in the NBA. And one of the biggest differences in Coffey and the team this year is their confidence level. The team knows they're good, and they've got some good swagger that will carry them far this season. Back to you, Ryan.
Hey, thank you, Jessica. Yes, this team does know they're very good, but the challenge for them is not getting too high on themselves, because last year they proved that those preseason rankings and everything didn't matter at all as they qualified for the tournament with nothing on their record going into the season. Well, this year it's the exact opposite situation.
Yeah, Minnesota came into last year predicted to finish almost dead last in the tournament. In the Big Ten. They finished 2-16 2 years ago in conference play, 8-23 overall. A big boost last year to this year, or from the year prior to last season.
USC Upstate wins the tip, and they begin with the ball here in Minnesota, the season opener. And now the college basketball season has begun. Thank you for being with us once again. Nate Mason, one of the starters for the Gophers, takes a shot, rebounded quickly by Ramel Tompkins. The usual 5 for the Gophers as we look ahead to this year: McBrayer, Mason, and Murphy. Amir Coffey and Reggie Lynch are their 5 starters. And the first points of the day here for Upstate, it's Malik Moore. He, Mike Cunningham, Yuri Spahn, Ramel Tompkins, and Carson Smith are their 5 starters. The student section in particular is packed here tonight at the barn. Plenty of barn animals are here. The Gophers working around the ball a bit. McBrayer found for an open 3. And that'll start the scoring for Minnesota.
Minnesota getting it off. Dupree McBrayer getting it started for the Gophers this season. First official points for Minnesota in the 2017-18 season.
Upstate unable to respond as Tompkins took the shot. McBrayer last year led the team on 3-point shots. And now Murphy, the junior from San Antonio, he should have a very big year.
Yeah, showing his size there. He will have more plays like that throughout the year, using his size to get inside and kissing that one off the glass.
Now it's Spahn, rebounded by Murphy. This Gophers team certainly with the size advantage today. Much of that because of the difference between the Big Ten and the ASUN, which is where USC Upstate comes from. The first meeting ever between these two teams. Cunningham pulling up for 3. So Cunningham sinks at 13.4 points per game last year. Unanimous selection to the ASUN preseason all-conference team. Here's Lynch.
We just saw one of the forwards, Murphy, get inside. Now Lynch showing his size and ability to get inside, hitting that layup.
Carson Smith now for three. So USC Upstate winning so far in the first 3 minutes of action. 4 3-point shots already taken by this Upstate team. Murphy, the third effort for the Gophers.
Just pops right up over those forwards and just lays it in the basket.
Spahn with the third 3-point shot for USC Upstate.
On a little bit of a roll, Kitchen, a little bit of a hot hand from beyond the arc in their shooting so far in the first 3 minutes of this basketball game.
Lynch is fouled on his way up. Reggie Lynch, 6'10", 260 pounds, the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year a season ago. Rolls to the side, his first free throw. Working on learning when to block those shots. Something he did a very good job of last year. 114 blocks on the season. That is a lot. The challenge was, though, he would foul out a lot, too. Now it's Spahn with the ball. Tompkins over McBrayer.
He had an open look, couldn't drain it. Minnesota has an opportunity to take the lead.
Four minutes in, Minnesota and USC Upstate. They come from Spartanburg, South Carolina. Last year, 17-16 overall, 7-7 in the Atlantic Sun. First-year head coach now on his debut as a head coach. It's Kyle Perry. We'll have more on him later. Out to Mason. And this goes off of Ramel Tompkins. Upstate is beating the Gophers by 1, 4.5 minutes into action. It is 11-10 Upstate over the Minnesota Gophers on opening day of the 2017-18 season. Upstate from the A-Sun Conference, the first time they've ever played Minnesota. We welcome you back to the barn. A lot of energy around this program right now. McBrayer for three, this one short. Carson Smith, a foul is called. This one on the floor before the shot. Smith, number 13 there. 6'6", 194 pounds, his senior season. One of two seniors on this Upstate team. Devontae Fitzgerald, by the way, checking in for the Gophers. Reggie Lynch takes a seat on the bench momentarily. This is Cunningham. Can't get the bounce in. McBrayer. Fitzgerald couldn't come up with the rebound. The Gophers get the ball. Or no, the Spartans get the ball instead.
So like Isaiah Anderson box out Fitzgerald very well underneath, taking away his size and ability to get at that basketball.
Isaiah Washington is now in for the Gophers. So he subs in for McBrayer. To the ovation of the crowd here, too. A lot of people excited to see him play. And how about this from Spahn for 3?
He's now 2 for 2 from beyond the arc, putting up USC Upstate by 4 early on the Gophers.
Here's Washington with the ball. From New York City, stayed in New York for prep basketball. And Devontae Fitzgerald, his first official points as a Gopher. It's a big day for him.
Yeah, a guy you're going to be seeing trying to fill in for that Eric Curry spot as he tore his ACL just a month before the season.
Washington for 3. And a foul is called. Looks to be on Devontae Fitzgerald. Fans unhappy.
You can take a look on what possibly happened here.
Fitzgerald right there. Perhaps it was Murphy.
It might have been on Murphy, but probably a behind the back call. But there wasn't a ton of contact on that play. I can see why the fans were upset.
It was officially on Fitzgerald for the record.
Looked like there was more contact with Murphy and the USC Upstate player.
So the referees will have a quick conference at the scorer's table.
Might be looking at who got the foul.
Fitzgerald, a little touch there on Carson Smith.
And now you slow it down a little bit, pushed him on the back. Can't push off a player like that. You will be called a foul. And
it is an elbowing call that they will be looking at here. So they're wondering if Fitzgerald had an elbow on Smith. Kelly Pfeiffer, Mark Riggs, and Luke Schumer are the officials today. And there's Fitzgerald. As we said, a big day for him. Last year it was him that tore the ACL right before the season, which would have been his first season of eligibility after transferring from Texas A&M.
Yeah, so he hasn't seen action for about 3 years. So, but I'm glad he was able. We saw he was able to come out in those couple exhibition games Minnesota had before this one to kind of get some live reps into the real game experience. You know, I'm not sure if they're discussing so much if it was like an intentional or foul, but definitely looking into this pretty in depth.
Bottom of the screen, Fitzgerald against Smith.
I don't know if I really saw an elbow on Fitzgerald, but I definitely saw a push-off.
Well, both teams benefiting from a long huddle, too.
And next some extra time, the coaches will take it to go over some strategy and game plan early on in this basketball game as they await this call.
Another look at it. The whole crowd here is sitting in confusion. I can confirm from our officials it's an elbowing call that they're looking at. Here we go. All right, so we just heard from our official. That was the brief pause. What'd you hear, Jake?
Well, we heard that apparently it was a couple plays ago.
Okay.
Yeah, that someone was stepped on and they was looking at if it was intentional or incidental, and it turns out to be incidental.
There's a step down in the head.
Yeah. Completely kind of different from what we thought they were looking at.
The guy looked at us and said, we're reviewing elbowing.
Yeah.
Turns out they weren't.
So we were showing the wrong play, but glad we got that figured out.
Shot for Tompkins is no good. Could have been 2 reviews, too, on the same one with as much time as that took. Traveling called against the Gophers.
Yeah, clear walk from Coffey. Looked like he cradled that ball, was running through the defense like a running back.
Now it's Cunningham. Pat Welsh with the shot. As the shot clock was winding down, goes out of bounds for the Gophers to get it. An emphatic thumbs up from the Upstate coach, Kyle Perry, too. He was happy with what he saw out of his team right there. And he should be happy with what he's seeing out of his team right now. Still leading over the Gophers.
Yeah, hitting 50% of their shots to start the game, not bad. Or, excuse me, 42%, 50% from beyond the arc.
Now Washington cannot get it. His first points as a Gopher still await. And Holmes off of Coffey. That is Dion Holmes, the junior, with 2 for Upstate. Minnesota 1 of their last 7 field goal attempts. Mason cannot hit it. Rebounded by Carson Smith. Gophers 5 for 15 thus far today. 1 for their last 8. So we pause real quick as the violation called against Upstate. It is 16-12 Upstate here in Minnesota. Upstate leads by 4 over the Minnesota Gophers. Eddie Payne, the former head coach of this Upstate program. 15 years as their head coach. He traveled separately up here after he retired on the 3rd of October. So that was only 5 weeks ago when he stepped down from the position due to health issues with his ankle replacement surgery. Very happy to be able to have him in here. Now Isaiah Washington. And Coffey is touched on his way to the basket. But we spoke yesterday with Kyle Perry, the first season head coach of this USC Upstate team, and you ask him, are there any storylines you'd like us to push about your team, anyone you're proud of that you'd like us to touch on? And he said, if you could please talk about Eddie Payne, because nothing in my career is even there without the influence of Payne.
Well, no surprise. I mean, like you said, 15 seasons at USC Upstate. Had such a big impact on this program. Was there when they transitioned from Division II to Division I, and he helped lead them to 2 Atlantic Sun semifinal appearances and 1 championship game appearance in 2014 and 2015. He's right there in the middle of the screen there.
Nearing the halfway point in the first half. The season opener for the Gophers and the Spartans. One of a few Spartans teams the Gophers will see this year. Here's Cunningham, blocked by Lynch. And Washington for 3, and it's short. The foul called against Upstate.
Saw an effort there by Coffey to get the ball just in bounds, and for Minnesota to go on the fast break, couldn't capitalize, but Murphy Or no, excuse me, he was just fouled. He won't be going to the line, but good play by Minnesota.
Veterans Day this weekend too, so a lot of exciting stuff here at this game. A lot of men and women of our services in uniform in attendance tonight. And a travel called against Reggie Lynch.
Yeah, I could see that from over here. That clearly took more than 2 steps. Easy call by the refs.
A pass to Smith. He spins. And some fans here calling for a traveling as a response to the one called against the Gophers. They will not get that.
I think Smith went in there within the 2 steps. I think he went in there legally and made a nice move. Unfortunately, couldn't sink the basket. Minnesota now gets the ball back.
It has been 4 minutes since the Gophers have scored, 2 since Upstate has scored. Minnesota 1 for their last 9.
And then you mentioned Minnesota on a little bit of a drought. USC Upstate is on a drought as well. So Minnesota, this is where they're going to take advantage and start getting in a rhythm here and scoring some baskets.
Lynch for 2. So that'll end the drought. The Gophers still trailing, though, to USC Upstate on their home court to open the season. The shot now for Smith. And it's an air ball, and the crowd will let him hear it.
Well, they'll let him hear it for the rest of the game until another person gets an air ball. That's just what happens with student sections here and around the country as well.
The first time in a few years, too, we've seen the student section completely full for the season opener. Murphy! What a follow-up. And a traveling called against Upstate. Another look here at Murphy's play after Coffee.
Well, first off, that was an amazing first effort by Coffee, and Murphy's just right behind him waiting for that if that were to happen, and it did for a rebound, and he was able to capitalize on it, now tying this game back up.
There's Murphy, junior year from San Antonio. Fourth best in the Big Ten in rebounds a season ago. Now Jameer Harris for 3, and that's what he does best. His first official points for Minnesota.
He was ranked 4th amongst prospects in New Jersey, comes in showing what he can do from beyond the arc.
Anderson banks it back. Nice pass to Coffee. Murphy couldn't rebound. And Malik Moore with a dunk for USC Upstate.
That really silenced the crowd. That was a great job for USC Upstate to capitalize on Minnesota's mistake.
Was told that he's a good dunker, and if anyone on the team would do it, it would be Moore.
Yeah, he's one of those key returners for the Spartans team. He was 3rd on the team in scoring last year. Also does very well on the glass. You know, he averaged about 5 rebounds a game last season, of course.
Lynch tied up with Yuri Spahn. He does draw the foul and will shoot. Lynch 1 for 2 his last time to the line. Misses his first once again.
He's the kind of guy that will need to really sink these free throws. He's going to be getting to the line a lot, knowing he's an inside guy, big guy inside, going to be getting into a lot of aggressive plays, involving a lot of fouls and contact.
Anderson was found with the ball real close.
No, he stepped out. I believe USC Upstate stepped out of bounds, and it'll turn it over.
It is 19-18. The Gophers now lead over the Spartans to open up the season in the first half. It's like the World Series or something. You see Joey King through all those bodies. Remember him, Jake?
Oh, yeah, he made a good impact here at Minnesota. He was a good perimeter shooter here for the Gophers, and good to see him back. I believe we have Darren Ha on the left there. He was a senior last year.
That's right.
Didn't get a lot of playing time, but got a couple Gophers, former Gophers, behind the bench. Always nice to see them come back to Williams Arena.
All these celebrity sightings at the barn today. Murphy. Oh, my.
It's like he passed it to himself. It's like he threw it out the glass, and he went back and grabbed it and laid it in. I mean, just kind of a crazy play there for Murphy.
Deion Holmes around a few.
Aggressive effort getting around some big men underneath.
The Gophers now do have the bonus. It'll be a 1-and-1 opportunity. Foul called against Anderson. Lynch so far 1 for 4 at the line. Makes his first. Lynch now has 7 points today. Spahn from a far distance for 3.
He is perfect today from three-point land. 3 for 3. He is definitely a big reason why they are just still. This game is tied right now with 6.5 to go in the first half.
Known to be a good passer, but so far today, Spahn's got 9 points, 3 for 3 from beyond the arc. And another foul against Upstate sends Mason to the line. Mason named one of the 2 captains of this Gophers team, he and Jordan Murphy. I asked the question to Richard Patino, how did you pick your captains for the year? And he said, well, I didn't. The team picked them. They voted. Thought, all right.
Yeah, no surprises, though. I mean, Mason leading scorer coming back, and
that's right.
Really big team player, and no surprise the players picked them as the team captains.
Moore for 3. The 6th three-point shot to sink so far for the Spartans.
Getting that bounce off the glass, off the backboard, puts them up by 1.
Now we'll look at Michael Hurt. Lynch with a dunk. Nine points for Lynch today. Whistle blows. You see Hurt will go back to the bench. Murphy with the pass.
It's like they forgot about Lynch underneath. He just snuck up behind there, and they thought they had Murphy covered, which they did, but forgot Lynch was open.
Mason pulling up. How about Reggie Lynch today? Using his size.
Just kind of maneuvers around a whole player 360 degrees to get inside.
The Spartans holding very tight with the Gophers so far today. Watch for the Gophers, too, with their distribution of the ball and their passing, something that Richard Pitino said he was very happy with out of the two exhibition games they played. USC Upstate, this is their first action against another team. No exhibitions to this point.
I mean, what a way to start the season, coming into Minneapolis, one of the cathedrals of college basketball, and taking on the 15th ranked team to start your season and get your players ready.
The Gophers up by 3. Only 2 fouls called against Minnesota this half. Moore for 3 now. From beyond the arc, Upstate has been spectacular.
Yeah, Moore now, he's also 100% from the three-point line, and this team keeps shooting very well from that three-point spot, and now 7 for 14, 50%, shooting about 44% from the floor. And no wonder, I mean, they're competing really well with the Gophers.
All tied up 31 each, under 5 to go in the first half. Upstate holding very close with the Gophers. They kind of had a blowout win against both Concordia St. Paul, a D2 opponent, and UW Green Bay in exhibition action this last weekend. This is their first real action, though, where they're trying to win. They're not just trying to figure things out as much.
Yeah, that was simply, like Pitino put it, more for live reps, but now this is for something. You know, this goes to the record. And isn't like a Big Ten opponent or a ranked team, but it is still counts. And USC Upstate is just trying to win just as much as the Gophers.
Jordan Murphy, and Lynch misses a dunk.
Oh, you got to finish on those, especially at home. You got to finish on those dunks, especially since it's a tie basketball game.
Ramel Tompkins now out to Welch. And a foul called against Minnesota. Richard Pitino is irate.
And I don't think McBrayer, he doesn't like it either. Kind of giving a look to the ref.
There's Pitino. His 5th season now, the 2017 Big Ten Coach of the Year. What a year it was. Six on the clock. They go to Cunningham. Cunningham missing this 3. Malik Moore has got 10 points. That's it for double-digit scorers so far. as this one goes out of bounds from Murphy. And we will pause at Williams Arena. 31-31. We'll be right back. Tied up at 31 in Minneapolis. And Jake, you were saying at the break, this USC Upstate team is looking excellent thus far.
Oh, man, they're on fire, and you look at that even from beyond the arc. You know, they're shooting almost 50%, over 40% from the floor. Minnesota's struggling right now, and USC Upstate is definitely taking advantage of that.
The shot taken by Pat Welsh. Upstate keeps control. Minnesota keeps it out of the basket. Mason falling hard to the ground. And the foul called against Lynch.
Just some sloppy play by Minnesota. Last few possessions. Now are scoreless in the last 2 minutes. Turning the ball over, not finishing on plays, and not shutting out USC Upstate. USC Upstate doing a great job getting inside and getting opportunities and getting looks.
Inside for Tompkins. Now a three-point shot to be taken by Anderson. 2.5 to go in the first half, and Minnesota trying to get out of the half leading against Upstate, a team that has never qualified for the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, specifically, they're one of 43 current active Division I teams that have never made the NCAA tournament, but they have been close. I had mentioned earlier in the broadcast that they made it to the Atlantic Sun Conference Championship in their conference tournament. And one of those conferences you do really need to win the conference tournament to get a bid into the NCAA tournament.
Washington with his first point as a Gopher at the line. That's Isaiah Washington again from Harlem. Famous for the jelly, which we will await and see if we see it tonight. Did it once in the exhibition games we had. Moore going up against Lynch, and Fitzgerald has the rebound. And Mason ends a field goal drought of 3.5 minutes for the Gophers. For Upstate, it's been 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Out of bounds against Smith. And the Gophers get it.
He simply just lost control of the ball trying to drive the lane, and they will give the ball back to Minnesota, who has a 3-point lead with just over 1.5 minutes to go in this half.
Now Washington for three. Isaiah Washington.
0 for 3 prior to that from the 3-point line and sinking one.
Cunningham now responding. He's got 5 so far. Now Coffey for 3. His first of the day.
Minnesota seems like they're catching the hand a little bit from the 3-point line, catching that.
And now Washington seems to have been called for a foul here on the near side. So his first foul. Richard Pitino, describing Washington earlier this afternoon, said he's a, quote, throwback New York City point guard. Timeout called on the court. So Minnesota now up by 7 over Upstate. For a while they were neck and neck. And Upstate seems very much in this game. There's Pitino talking to his team.
And Minnesota sinking their last 3 field goals.
A very big crowd in here too. Those are all students. And there's a lot of them. They sold out student tickets this year. About 1,000 more student tickets sold this year and 1,000 more general season tickets sold this year. To come and see these Gophers play.
I think a lot of them are coming here to wait for that jelly shot from Washington.
I think that's why they're here?
It's a big reason why.
Yeah, it's true, actually.
Part of the reason here.
It's the first thing they bring up when they talk about this team. Cunningham with some nice play against Hurt. No points here for Upstate, and looks to be him called for the foul, too. The 11th personal foul against Upstate in this first half.
Well, that's kind of one thing that's killed them in this first half, and the reason why Minnesota's up by 7 is the fouls. Minnesota's been to the line now they've now hit 9 of 13 free throws, and the Spartans have yet to get to the charity stripe and have an opportunity to get some of those free throws and points.
Foul called against Upstate. The Minnesota Gophers will get it again.
Minnesota starting to figure some things out here at the end of the first half. Getting some better looks, creating more opportunities, and are seeming to start to defend the Spartans better than what we saw earlier in the half.
We will wind down in the first half. The Gophers leading 41-33. The Gophers 43% from the field, Upstate 37. And Murphy finishes the first half. The Gophers 43 points. Murphy himself has 13.
Like to mention quick, Minnesota finished that half on a 12-2 run. So a great way to finish the first half.
Well, in a moment we will hear from the head coach of the Upstate Spartans team, Kyle Perry. He's on his way over to speak with Jessica Hart. Before we head to the halftime break, it is his first game ever as the head coach of the program. And we look forward to hearing from him in just a moment. All right, well, here's Jessica Hart. She's got Kyle Perry with her.
Thanks, Ryan. Coach, one of the things that Minnesota has on their side of this game is definitely their size. So how are you going to get around that going into the second half?
We just got to continue to gang rebound and go after it. Everybody's got to be a rebounder on our team.
Nice. It's your first home opener as the head coach of the team. Gophers ranked 15th, but you guys are pretty close, kind of neck and neck right now. So how are you going to come into the second half to pull out?
Yeah, our kids have played aggressive. They played in a lot of these environments, so they're confident. They believe in themselves.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be back to the start of the second half with our interview with the Gopher assistant coach. I'm down here with assistant coach for the Golden Gophers, Ben Johnson. Coach, based on the past couple of games in this game so far, what have you been noticing that needs some improvement going into the second half?
I think the biggest thing we did really well is we controlled the glass. We're out rebounding, which we should. When we're getting the ball inside or in the high post, we're getting a lot of production out of our bigs. Now it's just when they go small and we're big, we got to do a better job communicating and keeping guys in front guarding one-on-one.
Yeah, we saw in the first half the Spartans stay kind of a lead for a little bit, but then the Gophers pulled away toward the end of the second half. So how do you keep that momentum going?
Yeah, I think we just got to stay with what we're doing. You know, do a little bit better job defensively, like I said, guarding one-on-one, forcing tough shots. I made a couple tough contested ones, but continue with our defensive philosophy and then our offense just playing inside out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be back shortly at the start of the second half.
The Gophers lead by 10 as we get back to work in the second half. Jake, it was a hot start for USC Upstate. Well, right now the Gophers seemingly starting to figure something out.
Well, yeah, it was a good start for USC Upstate. Malik Moore and Jir Span hitting it from beyond the arc, but Minnesota figuring things out, starting to get things rolling, get into a rhythm, and starting getting inside and stalling and stopping this USC Upstate offense, and we're able to start figuring things out. Even though they weren't able to capitalize on some opportunities, we're starting able to hit shots and get inside, and the three-point game starting to get going, and that's what has resulted in their 12-2 run to end the first half, and they are now up by 10.
Really only two scorers for each team. For the Gophers, Reggie Lynch has 11, and Jordan Murphy leads the team with 3. For Upstate, it's Malik Moore with 10, and Yuri Spahn actually has got 11, and he leads his team. So, really, those are the only two that have scored for either team. There's Lynch right there, redshirt senior, originally at Illinois State, then transferred last year, his first year of eligibility for Minnesota, the 2017 Conference Defensive Player of the Year. Well, here we go. Second half. Minnesota and USC Upstate. Again, thanks for being with us. Ryan Russell and Jake Bringold. And Lynch has the first points of the half. And quickly Moore gets fouled. Just 20 seconds into this half. 5 fouls called against Minnesota in the first half. Against Upstate, it was 12. And Moore has free throws coming up. The first free throws to be taken today for this Spartans team. You can see behind him behind the basket rather, the student section in full force. Abe Lincoln and Shrek, whatever that guy is.
Alice in Wonderland, I believe. Much variety in the student section.
Upstate comes up with the rebound. Some scrappy play so far this half.
USC Upstate can't take advantage of the bad pass from McBrayer, and Minnesota gets it back.
Murphy will shoot 3. This is short. His first three-point attempt today. McBrayer takes it away. He stumbles on his way and turns it into 2.
He looked like he almost lost control of that ball, and that ball was going to roll right out of bounds, but he gained control, gained his feet, and was able to get underneath the basket for an easy layup.
Now Cunningham pulling up. Rebounded by Smith. McBrayer up with this. 47-34. And Murphy, 15 points this evening. Smith for three, this one missing. As Coffey will get called. It was Richard Pitino unhappy with Coffey on that call.
Yeah, he clearly ran into him, kind of pushed off on the USC Upstate defender. That was a good call by the refs. Good offensive. It was an offensive foul. The refs got it right.
The second foul called today against Coffey. Coffey briefly headed away from Spahn. Now a big shot from Tompkins. Coffey stumbles to the ground. They let him play on. The jump ball is called, and Richard Pitino can't believe it.
Yeah, Amir Coffey frustrated on that call. He is being held back from Jordan Murphy, and you see Pitino also not happy with that, and fans are not liking it. It looked like he was, I think fans probably thought he was thrown down, but refs saw something different.
Cunningham missing. Coffey with the rebound. Taken away now by Cunningham. And Coffey able to get in his way. Moore thrown to the ground. And McBrayer called for the foul. Here we go again.
And McBrayer is frustrated, and he's also being called by his teammate Jordan Murphy. Fans also not happy with this one. I mean, it was questionable. Not a lot of contact. The player almost fell on McBrayer.
So Moore shoots free throws. McBrayer now takes a seat on the bench. 3 personal fouls today for him. He is not usually one to get into foul trouble. Washington hits Lynch. What a pass.
Fake the shot, fake the pass. Looked like he was going to shoot again, and he went back in underneath the Lynch. Wide open underneath, and gets fans to cheering in here again rather than booing.
One of the strengths of this Gophers team is their passing. Tompkins for 2 for Upstate.
Looked like he was rushing there, and he still was able to sink the shot. Good poise by Tompkins to stay with the ball in the lane and put Upstate back within 13.
Now it's Mason. Mason for 3. 7 points this evening.
And from where we're sitting, it looked like he had a hand right in his face, but he looked so calm and was able to sink the deep 3, putting Minnesota up by 16.
The Gophers 4 for their last 4. Lynch with a big block. So Lynch doing what he does best. We pause. Another look at Reggie Lynch. And Tompkins misses on the follow-up. Here in the second half, the Gophers, one of the front runners in the preseason polls for the Big Ten Conference, a very good Big Ten this year. Michigan State right now, towards the end of their first half against North Florida, up by a bunch. In other words, too, Purdue is over SIU Edwardsville, 58-40, and Northwestern ahead of Loyola in Maryland. That's 37-24. Those are the best teams in the Big Ten as far as the preseason rankings go.
Yeah, definitely the teams to watch this year.
And Washington misses his shot for 3, the foul on Pat Welsh. But again, the preseason rankings do not matter.
Yeah, things can change definitely throughout the season. A team that is not in the, preseason rankings, especially in this Big Ten, could make their way into that. Like a team like Iowa could definitely come up. They have a lot of returning players and showed some promise last season.
Murphy's shot is swatted away into the backboard, but there is a foul on the play. Looks to be against Ramel Tompkins. (54-38) Gophers. Only 5 points for Upstate so far in this half, after 38 in the first. Foul called once again against Upstate. That was Uri Spahn with the foul. Coffey along the base. And the foul called before Murphy's dunk.
Still hear a big ooh from the crowd after that Murphy dunk. Fortunately, it does not count. But a good aggressive effort there by Coffey to get to the line. Has a chance to shoot 2.
Coffey makes his first. He's got 4 points. That's a little less than we expected Coffey to have.
Yeah, especially in that exhibition game against Green Bay on this past Sunday at 26 points.
So now he makes it 5. 23 minutes played for Coffey today. Moore is tripped. This is Coffey called for the foul. His 3rd. And there's Malik Moore from Asheville, North Carolina. Saw him with a dunk earlier today. 11 points per game last year. Tonight, 13. This is Pat Welch stepping out of bounds and a turnover here against Upstate.
Yeah, high pass. Welsh was unable to come down and control his feet. kind of halts that drive and possession for USC Upstate, turning it over to the Gophers.
Murphy is rejected. And Harris for three. Nothing for the Gophers on that possession. A few big chances. And Moore runs into Hurt. Oh my. Hurt hit his head on the base of the basket there.
Yeah, you could hear kind of a thump from here, but he gets up.
Yeah, he's doing good. I was going to say, it didn't look that painful.
Another look. And I just got the wind knocked out of him for a second, and he's back up, looks good, walking off, as you can see, on his own willpower.
So our officials will check with Coach Patino. He says he's fine, so I think he is. Of course, concussion's a very serious issue that everyone must be careful with, especially at this level of play. But really, I didn't think it was that bad of a hit.
Yeah, I think he got up fine, and luckily he might have just got his wind knocked out of him a little bit, but he's back up. Doing good now.
Washington. Watch for he and Harris working together, the two freshmen brought in by Coach Patino this year. A wide open shot for three, missed by Moore. And Washington, the jelly is rejected. What a block there.
That was a low-angled shot way underneath the basket. And fairly easy block there by USC Upstate.
Each team 10 turnovers today. There's Washington.
But as you mentioned, that Minnesota doing a better job on taking advantage of those turnovers. They have 14 points off of turnovers compared to the Spartans 5.
Nothing for the Gophers in the last 2.5 minutes. They're 0 for their last 7 from the field. Now 0 for their last 8. 3 minutes since Upstate has scored. And Spahn ends that drought.
And he remains perfect from three-point land.
Now Fitzgerald misses. Excellent follow-up by Cunningham. Timeout called by Richard Patino. 57-45, the Gophers ahead of USC Upstate in the season opener. It is Veterans Day this weekend, and to those of you watching from home, the men and women of our armed forces, we thank you for your service to this country, and thanks for tuning in. We hope everyone has an excellent Veterans Day weekend. The Gophers up 57-45. At halftime, what was it? It was a Marines ceremony where they inducted a bunch of new Marines into the armed forces at half on the court.
Yeah, what I would assume are high schoolers getting enlisted into the Marines.
Michael Hurt for three.
Michael Hurt, the sophomore, ending this drought for Minnesota. Sinking a three-pointer, giving Minnesota that 60-point mark.
Now Cunningham will take it in. Murphy up with the rebound. 11.5 to go in regulation. Murphy fought his way in, but the foul called after the shot. 60-45, the Gophers ahead as timeout is called on the court. (60-45), the Gophers ahead. Isaiah Washington there with the towel on his shoulder. The freshman, famous for his jelly move. Jake, this is from last week. Here it is.
Yeah, it's almost like hard to explain exactly what it is, but it's just kind of like a cradle on your hand and moving your arm under the defender, and just looks unique and looks so cool coming off his hand. Definitely a unique shot we have never seen before.
That's what people talk about when they hear the name Isaiah Washington. 400,000 Instagram followers. That's a lot. A violation called here against, this is Yeskin Walker-Williams, the freshman. And there's Holmes. He takes a spot on the bench real quick. Harris can't find Murphy. Spahn behind the back to Tompkins for three. What a pass from Yuri Spahn.
Great setup there for the Spartans, and kind of capitalizing off a sloppy turnover by Minnesota, and they're getting down, knocking one from beyond the arc, putting themselves within 12.
Now Harris. His second three of the day.
He was kind of struggling to get something going in this half and finally knocks one down.
Tompkins now.
Kind of like a three-point contest here right now, midway through the second half.
Ends any sort of slowdown that either team had. No shot on the play, but the foul called as Mason was touched. Looks to be against Thomas Booker. So the seventh foul of the half for Upstate gives the Gophers the bonus. First one good for Mason. Cannot get that friendly roll.
And Murphy missed it on the putback there as well.
Cunningham misses.
Seeing USC Upstate work in this 2-3 zone defense, trying to defend Minnesota. And it's worked pretty well so far in this half, cutting off a lot of lanes to the basket.
Murphy now with the and one opportunity.
Showing some strength on that. See on that replay, getting around Tompkins. Definitely one of the bigger defenders and forwards on this Spartan team.
It was Booker on the foul. 4 minutes of play for Booker, 3 fouls. 4 players with 3 or more fouls for Upstate today. Spahn. Mason called for the foul before the shot.
Yeah, Yuri Spahn adding to his point total today. He's having an excellent day. Definitely a reason that kept the Spartans close early on, and now 15 points. He's perfect from beyond the arc today. Now sinking both of his free throws.
Murphy along the base with a dunk.
I was just mentioning that USC Upstate was defending Minnesota quite well with their 2-3 zone, but Murphy exposing it a little bit there.
This is Moore followed by Coffey. Not a lot of question on this one.
Coffey just came back in, and now he has 4 personal fouls.
There's another look at Murphy's dunk.
Yeah, getting around for a second possession. Around those forwards underneath.
Again, the Gophers, at least in the front court, got to stay out of foul trouble. Now, Coffey not necessarily one of those big guys up in there that they're too concerned about. But with the absence of Eric Curry this year, good guard depth, Reggie Lynch has got to keep a clean slate.
Well, right now, Minnesota has 2 guards in foul trouble, McBrayer and Coffey, and they would certainly rather have guards in foul trouble than Lynch or Murphy, who they don't have a lot of depth. And right now, Lynch only has 1 personal foul, so good day for him so far and having 15 points on the day.
McBrayer missing a shot for 3. A 3-point shot sunk by Mike Cunningham.
Kind of shot that in motion, shot that really quick and drained it from beyond the arc.
If memory serves, by the way, I believe Lynch has 2 blocks today.
I think he has 4.
4? Well, there we go.
4. If I am not mistaken, don't quote me on that.
But we talked about how his goal is to kind of figure out when to block and when not to, and so far, so good with only 1 personal foul. 11-point lead for Minnesota. About halfway through this second half. Eight minutes to go here, Upstate and Minnesota. As we look ahead to Upstate's schedule, they've got Allen next, and then Georgia. That is the Georgia Bulldogs. And then Charleston, Payne, Bowling Green, and Abilene Christian. That's up next for Upstate, and then for Minnesota, on the other hand, we will be here next Wednesday for that Niagara game. But in between there, Providence is next on their schedule, the alma mater of Richard Pitino. And then Western Carolina, Alabama A&M, UMass, and Bama. To finish the month of November, then they've got quite a tough slate. Miami is in there, top 15 team. A lot of energy here once again at this stadium for this Gophers team. The best Gophers team that I can remember. The best Gophers team that those kids can remember too. It is 69-58 Minnesota, and Jordan Murphy will shoot free throws. Gophers now 14 for 22 from the line. Cunningham with the shot. Now Tompkins for three. So the senior from Georgia now has 11 points this evening.
Showing experience. I mean, Lynch was on him, and he still was able to get the shot off in the corner and drain it.
Murphy with the offensive rebound. Another one, and he's got 2 points.
Jordan Murphy now has a double-double, 22 points, 12 rebounds. Big factor in this Minnesota offense today.
Gophers still lead by 11 as they get the ball back. The 12th turnover today against Upstate. Spahn intercepted the pass to Lynch.
A good play by Spahn to shut down that lane. That could have been an easy 2 points for Lynch. I think he was expecting a pass to go right to his hands as well, and Spahn was there to stop that play.
McBrayer.
He had the man coming from his right side. He's not intimidated by that and sinks the three.
McBrayer picks up Spahn's shot. Now Washington hits Murphy, and Murphy is fouled. These will be free throws 24 and 25 for Minnesota today.
I think free throws is a category where Jordan Murphy would like to improve this season. Just shooting about 61, 62% a season ago. Knocking down his second on that trip to the line.
18 offensive rebounds for the Gophers so far this evening, 9 for Upstate. And a three-point shot sunk by, this is Spahn, who has 19 today.
Continues his success, like 5 for 5 from three-point land. Incredible day for Spahn.
Mason for three now. Timeout called. Minnesota 79 and Upstate 64. Another look at Mason's shot. The Gophers today, 9 for 25 from beyond the arc.
Yeah, Nate Mason kind of having a slow start to this game, doing much better in the second half, getting things going, knocking down a deep three to put Minnesota up by 15 with 5.5 to go in this second half.
There's Mason in the middle there of the screen. Again, he's one of the two captains for the Gophers, he and Jordan Murphy. Mason brought up from Georgia, all Big Ten first team last year. Now Malik Moore misses. Just over 5 to go. Mason with another three-point attempt is short. And Murphy picks it up.
Murphy now with 13 rebounds, picking that one up, dunking it in, putting Minnesota up by 17.
Cunningham for 3 now. 13 points for him.
I mean, they may be down by 14, but their three-point game has been solid today. That's something that Coach Perry should be very happy going back to Spartanburg.
Murphy was going up for the shot as the foul is on Carson Smith. He was one of the starters for this team. Jordan Murphy, he's at the line. He just missed that, but 27 points is a career high. Former career high was 25. Spahn has been perfect from 3. This time he misses. And Murphy.
Well, that pump fake by McBrayer opened up the floor a little bit, and he drove inside, open shot to Murphy, but see USC Upstate going down the other way, answering with a bucket of their own.
29 points for Jordan Murphy today. That was after 22 against Concordia, 12 against Green Bay in exhibition action. Now Coffey.
Minnesota's size is really starting to show through here late in the game. You see Murphy now, Coffey getting inside underneath, sinking some baskets.
$16-point lead for Minnesota. Now Mason has it short. A nice rebound effort by Dion Holmes.
It's late in the game. If you're going to make any sort of comeback, you need to be there for those putbacks, and Holmes was there and did his job.
Holmes, the second-generation player here for USC Upstate, but his dad played when they were USC Spartanburg, was what they were called, and not in the NCAA. Coffey was fouled as he went up, and we pause. 85-71, Gophers. Jordan Murphy has had a career day today here at the barn. Here's 2 of his 29 points he's registered today.
Yeah, he's utilized his size very well underneath, getting the rebounds he's needed to get, getting up there, getting his hands up there, and capitalizing on those opportunities, getting inside, getting some big dunks, getting the crowd going, and also making some nice layups, and also getting to the line and knocking down some free throws.
Coffey has just 7. Murphy, 13 rebounds today. So a double-double for him. Moore contested by Mason has 2 points.
Well, Moore continues his excellent day in scoring, 19 points today.
Murphy, 31 this evening.
Get a little bit of deja vu. Feel like I've seen that a lot throughout this game. Murphy underneath getting dunks.
Harris ran into Malik Moore. Looks like the foul is on Jameer Harris. Again, the first game of the season. One more look at Harris running into Moore. Two minutes to go. They find Murphy once again. Absolutely going off today.
Showing his agility to splitting those defenders underneath, making it look so easy, kissing it off the glass.
Moore is fouled by Murphy, and he will go to the line for the and one. Your takeaways from what we've seen today, Jake?
Well, I mean, you saw USC Upstate come out strong and start out strong, and they definitely show potential for the rest of the season, but Minnesota overpowered them. They definitely show size and definitely show that they have a lot of experience on this team, and I'm going to be very interested, and I think Minnesota fans are going to be very interested and curious on what this team can do the rest of the season with this experienced squad.
Foul is called here against Moore, I believe. And this is actually on Carson Smith, so it was both Moore and Smith together defending Murphy. Again, 33 points, a chance for two more.
And if you could ask me a big takeaway, I mean, also Jordan Murphy, just an amazing day, amazing performance, and you know, with all the weapons on this Minnesota team, including Nate Mason, Dupree McBrayer, Amir Coffey, and then the two recruits that they got, and Jameer Harris and Isaiah Washington, this team could create a lot of threats to a lot of teams in the Big Ten. Be very dangerous come as the season rolls along.
Murphy comes up with the rebound. For those of you watching live right now, we will be interviewing Murphy. That's the rumor anyway.
Sure.
It'll be Jessica Hart after the game. And we turn around as this is out of bounds on Minnesota.
Yeah, I was going to say, I sure hope we interview Jordan Murphy. I definitely want to hear from him and his thoughts on an excellent day, 35 points.
And Murphy, to the ovation of the crowd, goes to the bench. His day is done.
A much-deserved ovation from the crowd here in this season opener for the Gophers and home opener as well.
Cunningham fouled, 35 seconds left.
Minnesota can hold this one off and hold this lead and win. They would have won their last 20 of 21 season openers. Excellent streak for the Gophers.
Now Moore is touched by Coffey on his way. 10,836 is our attendance here tonight. That's a very impressive turnout.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a great showing for the first game. You know, you're not playing the best opponent in the league and you're playing a mid-major school. This is still a great showing from this Minnesota crowd. They're definitely excited from what is to come from this Minnesota Gopher basketball team and what Richard Pitino has put together this season.
There's all the students. Again, they did sell out those student tickets. Not many seats left out there. These Gophers put on a show for them today.
Yeah, I would say, 92 points. Fortunately, they left, 12 points on the floor, with missing 12 free throws. They went 19 to 31, 61% from the line, but definitely still a great game in front of Gopher fans.
So we'll wind down. Jordan Murphy was the player of this one. 35 points today. And the Gophers fans rise to their feet as they will become 1-0 on the season with their victory against USC Upstate. The final score is 92 to 77, the first meeting ever between these two teams. And our referees will hold as it is technically a turnover here. So we're not quite done yet.
0.5 seconds still on the clock. Still got a game.
Well, there we go. The final score, 92 to 77. Minnesota prevails over USC Upstate to begin the season. Jordan Murphy once again, 35 points. He was the star tonight in 35 minutes played. There's him fighting his way. It was really quite a game for him. We thank you for being with us here. We hope you all have a wonderful weekend. For Jake and Jessica, my name is Ryan Russell. The Gophers once again win it over Upstate, 92 to 77. Have a good night.